Just dinner with coworkers, she texted, followed by a winking emoji that used to mean something sweet. But not tonight. Cole Maddox stared at the screen for a moment longer than usual. He wasn't a paranoid guy, never had been, but there was something off in the way she phrased it. The emoji wasn't playful tonight. It was a mask. He placed the phone face down on the counter and exhaled through his nose, steady and silent. He didn't ask questions, didn't accuse. Not his style. When people lie, the worst thing you can do is interrupt them. The best thing, let them keep talking. He opened her location, still shared since last Christmas, when she got turned around leaving her office party. Said it was for safety, said it like it was for him. She was nowhere near the steakhouse she told him about last week. No wine bar close to her office building. Nope. She was 25 minutes west, in a little corner of the city known for two things: sushi and discretion. Cole didn't get angry. That wasn't his move. He got quiet. And when Cole Maddox went quiet, it was already too late. He changed his shirt not because he needed to impress anyone, but because appearances mattered when you were about to let someone implode under their own performance. Black hoodie, gray jeans, clean Nikes. Low profile, controlled. The drive was unhurried. No music, no phone calls. Just the faint hum of the tires and the soft click of the turn signal as he pulled up to the restaurant. Upscale place. Low lighting, that faux romantic glow that makes everything look prettier than it is. He parked right in front, where she couldn't miss him. Lights on, engine running, like he was there to pick up a friend, or a lie, needn't text, didn't call, just waited. 3 minutes passed. In 5, he could see the front entrance from his angle, glass double doors, opening out to the street like a stage curtain. And then she appeared. Talia, laughing. Arm linked through someone else's, her smile radiant and unbothered, his hand casually resting on hers. The guy Jordan probably looked like background noise. Tallish, a little overdressed. The kind of guy who thought he was slick because he got a seat at someone else's table. Cruel's eyes met hers before she saw him, and then she did. That split second, her smile dropping, her steps faltering, fingers twitching like they forgot how to move. And Cole? He rolled down the window. Need a ride home? He said, voice calm as still water. Or should I give him gas money too? Jordan's head snapped toward him. Who's that? He asked, already letting go of her hand. Talia didn't answer. She couldn't. Cole just watched. No emotion, no raised voice, just presence. And that was enough. Time didn't stop, but for Talia it might as well have. Her heels clicked against the sidewalk once, twice, then silence. She stood there, like someone had hit pause on her whole body. Her mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. In that moment, everything she rehearsed, every excuse she thought she might never need, evaporated. She hadn't planned for this. Jordan, still clueless, glanced between them, brow furrowing in that confused, slightly offended way men do when they realize they're the extra in someone else's story. He stepped back, loosening his grip from her arm. "Talia?" he muttered, lowering his voice. "Who is that?" Cole didn't move. One hand on the wheel, elbow resting casually on the door, eyes steady. The engine purred behind him like a held breath. He wasn't here to make a scene. He was the scene. He gave Jordan a once-overs, average, harmless, and completely unprepared. Cole nodded at him, not in greeting, but in confirmation, the kind that said you were part of the story, now you're part of the fallout. Then he looked at Talia again, holding her there without raising a finger. "Babe," he said with that deliberate calm that made it worse, "you didn't say your coworkers were so hands-on." Talia took one tentative step forward, like that would erase the visual. "Cole, listen," she started, but her voice cracked midway. Her throat was dry, panic rising behind her eyes. She reached up, brushing her hair back, like it would somehow restore her control. "I am listening," Cole replied evenly. "I've been listening all night. Quiet's a good teacher." He wasn't smiling. He wasn't angry either, just present. Composed in the kind of way that made her unravel faster. A few feet away, a couple exiting the restaurant paused awkwardly, catching the tension mid-air like static. The woman glanced between them, recognizing the shape of a lie being exposed in real time. She nudged her partner to keep walking, but the damage had been done. Eyes had landed. The show had started. Jordan took another step back. "I didn't know she was seeing anyone," he muttered, now directing his words toward Cole, trying to save some face. Cole finally let a smile pull at the corner of his mouth. Not a happy one, but the kind that let you know this wasn't his first betrayal rodeo. "Don't worry," he said. "She didn't think I was seeing her either." Talia's hand trembled at her side. Her voice dropped, soft and desperate. "Cole, I can explain." "No need," he cut in. "The GPS did that for you." Jordan blinked. "She shares her location," Cole answered, eyes still locked on Talia. "Had to make sure she got to her coworker dinner safely." He emphasized those last two words like punctuation. Slow, spaced out, impossible to miss. The silence that followed was dense. Talia's perfectly curated image flickered and cracked under the weight of reality. Her posture wilted. The night that had started with perfume and whispers now hung heavy with humiliation. Cole didn't gloat. He didn't lean in for the kill. That wasn't his way. His restraint made it worse. He had let her walk into her own trap. Hands clean, voice calm, timing perfect. He leaned back slightly in the seat, eyes drifting to the passenger door. Then, with surgical precision, he asked the final question. "So, what's it gonna be?" Talia blinked. "You want a ride home?" he continued. "Or should I spot him gas money for the trip back to wherever y'all were headed?" The curb was quiet. Jordan cleared his throat, took another step away and turned. No goodbyes, no explanation. He left her standing there, heels planted on the sidewalk, suddenly alone. Cole didn't wait for an answer. He rolled the window back up. The message had been delivered, loud and crystal clear. Cole didn't look back as he pulled away from the curb. He didn't check the rearview mirror to see if Talia was crying, or if Jordan had come back for her. That part didn't matter anymore. Whatever expressions were painted across their faces were none of his concern. The truth had landed, and that was enough. The city lights blurred past as he drove. His fingers tapped gently on the steering wheel, not out of nervousness but rhythm. A slow, steady beat. Each tap a quiet goodbye to the version of himself that had believed her. The betrayal didn't sting the way it did for some people. Cole had learned a long time ago that the worst wounds don't bleed, they dissolve trust in silence. His phone lit up on the passenger seat. Her name appeared. First a text, then a call, then another. He didn't flinch. He let it ring out until it stopped. Then another came in. This time the message preview showed up. "Please, can we talk? I messed up." Messed up. That was one way to phrase deliberate deception. Cole reached over, picked up the phone, and held his finger over the contact. One swipe. Blocked. That was it. No dramatic speech, no final message, just clean disconnection. The calmness wasn't just for her. It was for himself. He'd learned that keeping your dignity in the face of betrayal was the real revenge. She expected a breakdown, a fight, screaming, maybe tears. What she got instead was silence. And being left standing alone in a dress chosen for another man. The next intersection brought him to a red light. He stopped smoothly, still composed. The car beside him pulsed with bass-heavy music. The driver, a young guy with a ball cap, turned backward, glanced over briefly, then turned away. Cole sat still, emotionless, letting the world move around him. Talia had always prided herself on reading people, anticipating reactions, knowing exactly what to say when she got caught. But Cole never gave her the script she was expecting. No argument, no plea for honesty, just a truth that spoke for itself. She thought she was directing the show. He'd just waited until the curtain dropped. Somewhere, she was probably still on that sidewalk, staring into nothing, maybe checking her phone again, hoping for a different outcome. But Cole had already moved on. Not emotionally, not completely, but definitively. He didn't need closure. He was the closure. As he turned into his apartment complex, the weight that had pressed on him for days began to loosen. It wasn't joy. It wasn't relief. It was clarity. She had lied. He had seen. And now she was history. He parked, stepped out, and closed the door with the finality of a man who'd already written the last line of the chapter. Inside, he poured a drink, just one. Tonight didn't need reflection. It needed recognition. She lied, he let her prove it. And he made damn sure she'd never forget the night he didn't say much, but said everything. Talia didn't move for a long time. The hum of traffic returned, faint and distant, like the world had continued spinning without asking if she was ready. A cold breeze teased the edge of her dress, but she didn't pull it down. She didn't adjust her posture or reapply her lipstick. She just stood there, watching the taillights of the car she wasn't invited into fade into the night. Jordan had already disappeared. He didn't say goodbye, didn't look back. She didn't blame him. He was just collateral in a game he didn't realize he'd wandered into. She'd let him believe he was important, let herself believe that maybe, if she spun the story right, no one would ever know. But now everybody knew. The doorman had seen it, the valet, the couple that paused on the sidewalk, the hostess who had glanced at her with a barely hidden smirk as she walked in earlier, laughing a little too loudly, already pretending Cole didn't exist. That laugh sounded different now, hollow and cracked. Her phone was shaking in her hand. Or maybe her hand was shaking. Either way, the texts weren't going through. Every message came back with a dull, silent delivery failure. She tried calling again. Voicemail. Tried once more. This number is no longer in service. That phrase hit harder than any scream could have. Cole hadn't just left. He erased her. It wasn't anger. It was worse. It was absence. Indifference dressed in precision. No fight, no ugly closure, just gone. Her thoughts spun, grasping for something to hold on to. A memory, an excuse, a version of the truth that didn't make her look like a selfish coward. But there was nothing to rewrite what had just happened. She looked down at her outfit, the dress she'd picked for someone else, the shoes she'd worn thinking she'd be admired. She had dressed for attention and walked straight into exposure. And now? She felt naked, even with the layers. Inside the restaurant, someone laughed. A sharp, wine-drenched laugh that used to sound like hers. The music drifted out from the entryway, upbeat and disconnected from the implosion outside. It struck her how fast the world forgets your little disasters. She turned and walked to the edge of the street, but there was no ride, no hand to hold, just her and her reflection in a restaurant window, one that now looked like a stranger. Cole's silence echoed louder than any confrontation. She had tried to play him, balance two lives, wear two masks. But he hadn't yelled. He'd waited, let her hang herself with her own performance. And she did. One perfectly timed drive-by, and everything she thought she had under control crumbled without him ever raising his voice. That was the worst part. He didn't need to explode. He just left the door open and let her walk into her own downfall. Now she was outside, alone, no explanation to offer that wouldn't make her look smaller. No rewrite, just the truth, in the chill. Cole didn't rush the drive home. He took the long way, windows down just enough to let the city night air brush across his face. It wasn't about escape, it was about control. He hadn't lost anything tonight. He'd just confirmed what was already broken. Back in his apartment, the lights were low. The stillness wasn't lonely, it was intentional. He walked to the kitchen, opened the cabinet, and pulled out the one glass he ever used for serious thoughts. Thick, weighty crystal, a gift from someone long forgotten. Tonight, it felt earned. He poured a drink. Nothing fancy, just strong. No toast, no reflection. He sat at the kitchen island and stared at his phone, now silent, now clean. Her name was gone from recent calls, their thread deleted. The photos? Archived without ceremony. There would be no revenge montage. No posting the screenshots, no calls to friends to retell what happened. Cole didn't need witnesses to his peace. He had already won the only way that mattered, by staying still while her world spun out. He hadn't raised his voice, he hadn't begged for the truth. He let her reveal it. He hadn't blocked her out of spite. He'd done it because access was a privilege, and she'd forfeited it. Somewhere out there, Talia was probably still trying to process it all, still replaying that moment at the curb, still trying to rationalize how she lost someone who never yelled, never threatened, never embarrassed her, only showed up, and showed her who she really was. He imagined her retyping a message, deleting it, then trying again. Maybe she'd send it to someone else, maybe Jordan, maybe a friend who didn't know the whole story, but it wouldn't matter. That moment, the one she thought she controlled, was gone. The performance ended, the mask slipped, and the audience walked out without applause. Cole stood and walked over to the living room, sat on the edge of the couch, not slouched, not defeated, just present. A man who didn't need validation, only distance. The silence around him wasn't empty, it was earned. Talia had played with fire thinking she was holding the lighter, but Cole had been the one who let it burn. No yelling, no confrontation, just exposure, slow and deliberate. The soft buzz of a phone call never came. No apology would reach him now. He had rewritten the ending she thought she'd control. As he took one last sip, he set the glass down gently on the table, aligning it perfectly with the edge. The kind of detail that mattered only to someone who noticed everything. And then he turned off his phone completely, not just silent, off, because some chapters don't need punctuation, just a closed cover, and a quiet walk away.